know, so basically, I was watching, also I don't remember what the video was called, but I was watching it the other day, and then it was like, okay, so it was like, so black people make they're like they make up like 16% of like so 60% of all people in schools, right? All people in schools, right? But then, but then after that, right? But then it said it made, but then black people are also 64% in like school suspensions and then like behavioral issues and stuff like that, like stuff like that, and that was just crazy to me because I'm like, because I'm like, for one, right? How is the minority rate of the the minority part of the diagram? How are they producing more crime than like the majority? And I'm just like, so 16 people, right, out of 100%, 16 people do more damage than the rest, and I just found that crazy. I just don't understand how, I just don't comprehend how that works. And then I also seen this part. I mean, I also seen this other part where it said like they're like white students wouldn't get punished as harshly as as like African Americans and our Latinx community. And then I also found that crazy because the way it was put, it was like the white students, right? They're more they're like, the only time they get suspended, right, is for like offenses that are like, oh, like you like graffiti or like smoking or like, so like stuff that you can actually, like something that you can actually see, right, and you, like, you know what's happening. And then so like African American people in like our Latinx community, they were like, oh, and while their suspensions are more like disorderly conduct and stuff like that. And I was just like, huh, that's real crazy. That's real crazy.
But I did see a social media post that I thought was really interesting, and it was like, there's a lot of Karen-esque teachers who single out Black and brown students in schools especially. So you know how you'll see like a Karen on the street and you'll see all these videos of Karens going wild basically, and they're just like, oh yeah, this Black man's just being a Black man on the street, I must like go crazy on him and be like, you can't be here because of da 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 da. There's a lot of white teachers and white Karen teachers who do the same thing in schools. They'll single out Black and brown students just because they have these preconceived notions and these racist tendencies. And so they'll single out these students and make them kind of like not the victim, but, well, they are victims in this situation, but make them out to be more criminal than they actually are. Like, they could just be sitting there, they could be like, hey, can you pass me a pen? And they'll make a huge deal of it. And I've seen it happen so many times in middle school and high school, especially because there weren't a lot of Black and brown students in my school. I think I can count on I'll say two hands, how many Black kids were in my entire school. So I've seen it happen a lot of times, and it's not okay, but I think a lot of people aren't ready for that conversation, because the idea that, oh, we have these Karen-esque people just out and about in the streets, and you see how crazy it can get. Imagine that being in school. I remember, I'm not even going to say I remember, but just knowing that and seeing how that works, knowing that the education system makes it that we put punishment over praise as a system in which we teach and educate, when we all know that praise does better when it comes to education. It's not effective, and the US needs to change that way of thinking. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Zaria.
Whoa, what just happened? Okay, so sorry, my phone glitched. I think I found a video on YouTube that was really good, and it just kind of was like explaining, because I really didn't know the whole concept of prison to pipeline. I didn't know anything about it. I've never heard of it. So I searched it up, and it just was giving an explanation. So it was a good like clarifier. So, but now that I got the information that I received from watching the video, it's just, I'm upset and annoyed that there's such a big racial disparity on how many kids get harsh reinforcement. and I just don't like that.
Upstar Records. Upstar Records. June Jordan School for Equity.
What's up? It's Kayla and Lexi, and we're here to shout out Traumatic Thursdays. Figo Navarro is our spectacular host, and you can find Figo in Traumatic Thursdays on Upstar's Instagram Live every week at 7 p.m.
This is a great way to check out live interviews with young artists such as ourselves from all over the Bay and experience new projects that they have been working on during this quarantine. Thanks, much love. Thanks.
Okay. Hey, can you turn that up a little bit? Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can sit up here, bro. Hold up. Whew. Now we on top of the world, you feel?
Yes, sir.
On top of the world. And I'm chilling with my girl, and you know we finna get it in. Make a swirl, cause you know we got the colors mixed and get it in. You know I'm probably finna mix the stomach and make her hurl. What? I can't hear the fucking beat, but I'm steady on beat. I'm in the street, got my cleats on. What? I'm in the field. Alright, I keep it G, cause it's real. What? I don't steal.
That's real.
What's up? My name is Della, and I'm here to shout out Traumatic Thursdays with Figo Navarro. Tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Upstar's live Instagram. Check out live interviews with youth artists from all over the Bay Area and hear music that they have been creating.
We all right here. Where we at? We all right here. Where you at? We all right here. Where we at? We all right here. Where you at? We all right here. Where we at? We all right here. Where you at? We all right here. Where we at?
We got GQ, Upstar, Superstar, sharing what he's been working on during this time. Ideas, clothing line that's coming out soon. Can you hear it?
I'm getting that Kanye West 2004 vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see how we jump in.
Okay, hold on. Man, it's been a cool minute when I drop these bars. You probably see me up on the boulevard on the 292 from South City to Frisco. Yeah, I'm hella fresh, but I'm definitely not a bar, so outcast like a big boy in 3000. Wow, man, you know what? I had the MySpace and SoundCloud. Oh, man, I'm retro and throwback. If I make it out of the struggle, I ain't going back. Hold up. Can't hear the beat, it's an acapella. I'm from the Golden State where we often say hella. Rain and hella gang, you just need 90 umbrella. Hold on. I'm just a good fella. Joe Pesci, Rob De Niro. Oh shit, man, I cannot mess around with girls who got loose lips that gon' sink ships like the Titanic. Fabioso, GQ, real romantic. Ooh, I leave no prints like OJ, South City boy, but I stay in the East Bay. On my play shit like rapping Forte. I do this on the mic not to entertain. Woo!
Woo!
I'm a California bear and I have no fear. June Jordan family, we all right here. We ain't going nowhere. Get the picture clear. I mean it from the heart, man. I'm so sincere and I'm so prepared and I'm ready for battle. Stay fly on the track, watch my words travel. I'm just having fun, educate the mind. We all right here. You should sing along.
What's up with y'all? I go by the artist name Almost Thug, and I'm here to shout out Traumatic Thursday featuring Figo Navarro. That takes place every Thursday at 7 p.m. You can tune in by clicking Upstar's profile, Instagram profile, and once they go live, you'll be able to check out the exclusive music content from Bay Area youth and the Bay Area artists, if you can, every Thursday, 7 p.m. Thank you.
Welcome back to Upstar TV. You feel me? It's your boy He back at another one. You feel me? After a short commercial break, after a short break, you know, we're back at it. You know, we still here interviewing Chris. Say hi, Chris.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Chris, Principal Program Coordinator of the DJ Project at Horizons Unlimited, but I'm here as a community member, as an artist, sharing my little bit of knowledge on police, defunding them, and what that looks like.
Hi, I'm Maisie, and I'm a producer for Upstar.
Hi, I'm Zaria, and I'm a producer for Upstar.
the SF school board has voted to end their MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding with the police department. So basically what that means is that they are taking 12 armed officers out of schools in San Francisco and using, I want to say it freed up about $45,000. And that is going towards mental health services, which is great. But also just for some perspective, $45,000 is probably barely enough to fund one annual full-time position. So it's a start, but I think it's a reflection of more trimming that can be done in order to, reallocate resources.
Okay. Stay snapping. You stay snapping. All right. Actually, I have a question, right? So you're talking. So earlier we were talking about ways we can we could abolish the police budget, just defund them, to put their money and put the money that they have into other programs, like I said, like mental health, healthcare, social workers, all that other stuff, right? And then like you said, the police, and the police retaliating is always an option for them, because at the end of the day, that's what, as you said earlier, you said the police the police at their start they were slave catchers, right? So what is this gonna actually look like? Because we can hope and plan all we want to, right? But how can we truly really cut the police budget and put money into other essential services? And how I want you to give me a little play-by-play, a little plan that you feel that would help start this, kickstart,
Yeah, I mean, when I think about the victories and successes that I've seen in my time since I've been, politically involved, I think sometimes, when you get woke, you learn about everything, and it becomes really overwhelming sometimes. And you're like, oh man, I'm trying to fight police. I'm trying to end poverty. I'm trying to, get my food justice on. I'm trying to bring peace in the hood. I'm trying to, fix the immigration crisis. It's all of these things that I think can sometimes be really overwhelming to someone who cares about the world and cares about other people. And so I think, focusing what you are able and willing to do. So the most successful victories have always been a group of people coming together and identifying something that is actually achievable and doable. Personally, I have these grand visions of how the world could change and all the things that would make our life and well-being better. But I know that it's a process, and that I can't just say, well, let's just end capitalism and then all the other things will start to fall into place. That's not our political reality. And so most victories have come from a group of people coming together, either committing themselves to being an organization or just an affinity group, and committing to doing the difficult, for lack of a better term, the not sexy, activist work. You know what I mean? It's not marching, it's not protesting. You're sitting in hour-long city council meetings, you're having meetings with other people, you are drafting proposals, you are actively living your life to do this. And it's not necessarily just a reactionary protest. It's not, oh, an incident happened and I'm going to take to the streets. People have been organizing since before the protests and the uprising, and people will continue to organize even after people stop protesting and people stop going out. That tends to be what happens, is that when there's this moment of new emergence of political movement and activism, people then start to figure out well, where can I actually be effective? Where can I actually go and work on things? So I think you know, if you don't identify a group that's already doing the work that's existing in your community, then creating it. I can't necessarily name something off the top of my head in San Francisco, but I think they serve the Bay Area. There's one called the Anti-Police Terror Project. They're an organization that is working on these visions, and they're working on this policy work. And so I would suggest that, you know, the play-by-play is uncertain, but I think what I do know for certain is that change has always come from a small group of people who have come together to decide that they want to influence and impact what is near them and what is available to them. I always encourage people to think globally but act locally.
Okay, so before we start wrapping it up and everything, all right, I'll actually one last question, right? Because I wanna hear your views about this, right? You know, we've been talking about how to defund the police. We've been talking about the systematic oppression we've been having. We've been talking about we've been talking about a lot, right? And you know that like a lot of that stuff, you know, like a lot of that stuff we won't be able to abolish it, right? Unless we band together as a group, as you said, right? Band together and, you know, like come together and really work on these goals, right? So my question is, how can we as a community, right, stop all the murder, all the gang violence, and all of the wrongdoings in our community that we're doing to ourselves, all the Black and brown brothers killing each other, right? And how can we stop all of that so we can all like converse and like build a community so we can tackle these bigger issues? Like how can we do that?
Yeah, I think the first step is really believing that another world is possible. I think that one of the biggest things that I encounter towards preserving the status quo is people don't have an imagination. They don't have a radical imagination of what is a world without police. They can't imagine a world where we take care of each other so well that we don't need armed people policing our communities. And I think that's part of, the larger cynicism that this culture feeds us, is that the world is out to get you, that people are by and large evil. And I personally don't believe that. And so I think that the first step is to believe and accept that what currently exists doesn't have to be, because it wasn't always in existence. And therefore, it doesn't have to stay that way, because everything in the society, these economies, it's all created by humans, by people. And so this idea that they can't be changed and transformed by people, I think is absurd. So I think first accepting that another world is possible, and then asking yourself, what role do I play in that different world? And how can I activate myself to align with that world? So I, have dedicated my life towards these movements, to social justice, as an artist, but also in my career. I've chosen to work with young people of color. I've worked in juvenile halls. I've worked with gang-impacted youth. And all of the influence that I had on them was, one, teaching them real history, teaching them about themselves, giving them a sense of self-esteem by giving them some context of who they are. And then also showing them that our community is stronger together. The way we can end gang violence is, we have to be so strong in our community. We have to be so invested in our public health and our well-being and our healing that we are a force that can't be reckoned with. Like, no amount of violence can stop us coming together. Because, all that you're saying, Heem, like, I feel it. Like, I've been, despite being targeted by the police and oppressed by the police, I've been hurt and harmed by my own community. And we do it to each other. And that is a reflection not of what's inherent to who we are as Black and brown people, but it's a reflection of the trauma that we've experienced at the hands of this white supremacist colonial government. They've tried to destroy us, and they've tried to erase our histories. There's so much that I'm sure that you all, in growing up, have been like, damn, why didn't anybody teach me that about being Black? Why didn't anybody teach me that about being brown? So I've literally seen gang members like go from like robbing people to like selling drugs to organizing communities. One of my mentors who put me on to everything, we were actually going to college at the same time, but he was 20 years older than me because he had been incarcerated for 10 years. And in that experience, he got politicized, and he came out realizing that, damn, all of the drugs I sold, all of the harm I did in my own community, that was me like being reactionary and responding to my own trauma. But that I can actually heal my community. I can actually organize my community. And so my biggest advocate is for relationships and connections, because that's what we have. We're social creatures, and our society right now is built on disconnection. Before, we used to live in villages where I needed to know who you were because you were growing my food or you were making my clothes. I was hunting your food. We had relationships that were interdependent on each other, and we needed to know each other. But we don't know who's picking our food. We don't know the name of the person who is stocking the grocery shelves. And so we live in a society of disconnection. So my biggest, I think, resistance to that disconnection is connection. It is meeting your community. It is meeting the people who care about the things that you care about, and talking to them and having relationships. One of the most strained, or one of the biggest impacts that slavery and colonialism had on us is our ability to connect to each other. Like we have to really ask ourselves, what possesses a Black person to destroy another Black person? What possesses a brown person to destroy another brown person? And it's a lack of seeing themselves reflected in other people. It's a lack of seeing people's own humanity and divinity. And that's been taken away from us. So my response to that is our community and our connections to each other are our biggest tool in this power struggle that we're experiencing right now.
All right, definitely. Yeah, that was some real rap you was just spinning right now. It was real. All right, but you feel me? Like I said, that was the last question. We're gonna start wrapping it up. All right, feel me? I wanna thank you for joining us today, Chris. It's been lovely. It's been fun. It's been nice. I feel like I've learned a lot. You feel me? And I feel like the producers have also learned a lot. I'm speaking with you. And for me, does anybody have any last words to say, Chris? Take that as a no. All right, you feel me? Can you tell us what your IG is so people can see people can
follow you. What's your IG? Yeah, if you want to follow me, I'm a visual artist, musician, and just all around artist. You could follow me at LSiete7. Again, that's LSiete7. I'm available for commissions, and I'm also just a resource to the community, especially young people on their political journey. As someone who was privileged enough to go to UC Santa Cruz and have my own political awareness and consciousness nurtured by a lot of people who were invested in me, I want to be the bridge to people who don't have that privilege and who aren't having that. Some of the things that I access that help me are actually podcasts. I'm very much an oral kind of audio learner. So I really like podcasts. This one that I would recommend is actually called Pod Save the People. It is, I want to say it's all Black contributors, and they are actively engaging in not only these ideas, but like in the groundwork. And they interview and they talk to a lot of people who are doing the on the ground work. And I emphasize that because, I spent a lot of my first couple years being politicized, just kind of being into the ideas and being like, rah, rah, rah. But then I was like, I actually need to like have boots on the ground, and I need to support what's actually, people who are actually trying to solve these problems. So Pod Save America is one. Our Prison's Obsolete by Angela Davis is a book I would recommend. And in terms of a news source, there is Democracy Now!, which, has a really great history of having a lot of information that you won't see in mainstream media. And then in terms of reading articles, there is an organization called commondreams.org. And that kind of tends to have, again, news and opinions that you wouldn't normally see in mainstream media.
again, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank you again for coming, Chris. Again, it's been lovely.
I don't know.
Imagine smoking weed in the street without cops harassing.